What's up fam, and welcome back to another Lurkana video. It's your boy Skinner. I'm back from vacation as last week we celebrated Thanksgiving here in the United States, and I brought you back a spicy new list for you to try. So as we know by now, much of the meta consists of control lists like the popular Red Blue Flava Flav decks, or the hyper aggro Pinocchio Arthur list that bounce their way to a quick victory. I wanted to play a deck that, if possible, would be good into both of these matchups. While I was watching the homie Dude TCG stream on Twitch, which by the way, go give him a sub, his info will be down below. One of his viewers submitted a green steel list, which I've been really digging. After a handful of changes, this is the current iteration of the list. Green gives us access to a discard package that could be incredibly powerful against many decks, but especially control decks that love to set up their hand. Although red-blue can often draw enough cards to withstand the discard, it's still putting your opponent on limited resources, which could be very powerful. With steel, we get access to all the toys that make steel so powerful against aggro decks. Tinkerbell's Sword is still one of the strongest board wipes in the game, and now we have some new things like Benja to clean up some of those pesky item decks. So let's get into the deck list. For 1-drops, we're only playing 4 copies of Captain Hook. This was a steel staple in Chapter 1, and he's still great into trading up into bigger characters. Although he is vulnerable to a lot of the new 2 damage actions that are floating around, I think Hook is still a great answer to a lot of characters. In the 2-drops, we have 4 copies of Flynn Rider, 4 copies of Eric, and 4 copies of Sudden Chill. Flynn Rider is a clear staple in the discard decks and was a force to be reckoned with in Chapter 1, so he really needs no introduction. Prince Eric, much like Hook, is a great character for playing defense. He helps keep the board clean while we set up our discard package, and also is able to withstand the 2 damage actions that we just mentioned. Lastly, we have Sudden Chill, which didn't get any love in Chapter 1. However, in combination with Prince John, this song could be quite powerful. Oftentimes, we're able to sing it with Flynn Rider, which discards a card, and then your opponent needs to discard a second card if they want to attack into the Flynn. In 3-drops, we have 4 copies of Benja, 4 copies of Prince John, 4 copies of Tinkerbell, 4 copies of Smash, and 4 copies of Hypnotize. Benja is a sweet new addition to steel decks that gives us an earlier item removal option than Chapter 1's Beast. Benja also quests for 2, which is a good amount of pressure that can quickly add up in a game. Prince John, the bread and butter of this deck and this archetype. Every time your opponent discards a card, we will be drawing a card. Being able to gain resources while choking out our opponents is incredibly powerful. Although he is a measly 1-2 stat line, he has Ward, which keeps him protected from a lot of removal. Although this may be a flex spot, Tinkerbell does find a spot in our list for her ability to let us shift into the bigger Tink and deal with these aggro decks. Her card draw effect can sometimes be useful to draw us into John, but she's mostly just here because, as I mentioned, shifting Tink into Grab Your Swords is still one of the most devastating combos in the game. Hypnotize is a great new addition that combos very well with Prince John. With John in play, your opponent discards a card while we end up drawing 2 cards. Unfortunately, this one isn't a song, but it can still be inked, which is great. And lastly, we have Smash, which continues to be a solid spot removal. This new set has brought many new threats with 3 health, and Smash is a great answer to them. Getting into our 4-drops, we have 4 copies of Daisy Duck. Daisy is a solid 2 quester that makes your opponent discard a card when she quests, so she fits into our discard strat. For 5-drops, we got 4 copies of Lucifer, 4 copies of Beast, and 4 copies of Grab Your Sword. Lucifer is a card that's really been impressing me. This kitty is an absolute monster with Prince John in play, many times discarding 2 cards and drawing us 2 cards, not to mention the cat quest for 2, which is just great. Next up we have Beast, or Sad Beast / Emo Beast, or my favorite nickname, Fallout Beast. This has been my favorite contender for best legendary in the set. He may look sad, but he makes me very happy. This beast usually hangs out on board and draws us a ton of cards, which is a great backup when we don't draw our Prince John. When he finally does take some damage, he can quest for 2 or attack for 7. Grab Your Sword needs no explanation. This card remains one of the best in the game. And then topping us off for our 6-drops, we have 4 copies of Beast and 4 copies of Tinkerbell. Beast is another new addition and pairs very nicely with cards like Grab Your Swords and Tinkerbell. Beast can sing a sword and then instantly ready itself to quest or attack. Plus, there is no limit on the amount of times that Beast can quest, leading to some really lucrative turns. Beast can sometimes be a little slow in my testing, and I've considered John Silver as a worthy replacement. However, for now, we're going to give Beast a shot. And lastly, we have Big Tink, which is another steel staple. I heard many cries during preview season about how the resist was going to destroy this card. Thankfully, that is far from the truth. This card is still very powerful and keeps us in the game versus the aggro decks. With that out of the way, let's jump into some games and see it in action. Alrighty, so we are going first this game, which we love to see. Alright, so we clearly have Prince John in hand, which is a great start. We definitely always want to mulligan to try to find the Prince John if possible. And we just mull away the extra one because we actually have a ton of inkables here. Nice little curve, so I really like this hand. Choose to ink the extra Flynn Rider here because I don't really see an opportunity when we're going to be playing it. Opponent runs out Cinderella, so they are playing some kind of steel song most likely. We ink our Daisy Duck and run out the Flynn. So what's cool here is we have Flynn Rider, but by the time that we quest with him next turn, we will have John in play, so Flynn will be giving us even more value. Unfortunately, they do have Storm Rage on, which is a common thing for steel decks to be running now. Typical Amber Steel stuff, Queens and Cinderellas. We go ahead and ink Benja because I don't think they're playing Lanterns, and that would be the only item we're looking for. And we run out Prince John, which thankfully cannot be targeted by Storm Rage on. They could shift here into Queen and then sing Grab Your Swords to kill our John, but at that point, you know, they have all of it, they have all of it. Alright, here we decide to ink the Tinkerbell since we're not going to be playing it this turn. We're getting closer to 6, so pretty soon we'll be able to just cast Tinkerbell anyway. And we run out the Daisy Duck, which unfortunately doesn't do anything quite yet, but next turn we will be able to get some value out of her. Our opponent plays 0 to hero here and runs out a Surfer Stitch with only 3 ink, which is pretty absurd. We draw ourselves a Beast Relentless. Our opponent is at 6, so they are steadily climbing. They have a lot of characters in play, but thankfully we have a pretty big turn here. So we quest with Daisy first, making him discard so we can draw a card. I probably should have done this before inking, but I don't want to ink this beast anyway, so it worked out. We play Grab Your Swords here, knocking off a bunch of his characters. And then we actually choose to Sudden Chill as well. I'm assuming the last card in his hand is Wheel. We could have played Lucifer there, but I chose to clear the board instead. Just in case he does have Wheel, he won't have as much board presence. He plays a Rapunzel, which is a big draw for him, as well as killing off our board, so we're in a pretty bad spot here. We draw another Grab Your Swords, which is a great draw to see. He gives us a whoops, which makes me realize that he didn't pick the right option, so he actually discarded 2 cards, when he only really needed to discard 1 card, so that sucks. We go ahead and sing Swords here and play out our Beast, so we can start drawing some more cards. The only reason I played out the Swords here is because I'm assuming my opponent eventually is going to wheel, and I just don't want to have cards in my hand that I could have played. I decided to run out Beast here, so we have 2 Beasts in play, and I actually decided to attack into this Rapunzel just because he is getting close to 20 lore. I don't want him to go too crazy. We're already pretty far behind, so we have to start keeping his characters in check. He does finally get the wheel that we've been looking for. Alright, so Stitch trades into our Beast, which we're happy. We got plenty of value out of that Beast, and we got Stitch off the board. We draw into a second Lucifer here, so we obviously play one. Our opponent plays a wheel, so finally we get to draw our 7 cards, which we're very happy about considering that we were low on our resources. And as you can see, we are stocked up. What's funny about Beast is if our opponent tries to attack into him to kill him with 2 characters, he will go ahead and ready himself, so he does send a Kamikaze Missile of Strength of a Raging Fire at our Beast. That card is quite strong. But thankfully, there's nothing a good old Swords and Tinkerbell can't fix. We sing Swords off of our cat. And then play Tinkerbell to clean up all that field. I choose to kill the Rockstar here just in case he does wheel next turn. I don't want him to be able to reload the board with a bunch of 2-drops. And I'm able to develop a Beast here, so if our opponent does play wheel, which they don't because they scoop it up, and we get our first win in style. Very nice. This game we are going second here. I choose just to keep the Smash and the Flynn Rider and try to dig for Prince John. Unfortunately, we do not get... I choose to ink Tinkerbell here just in case they are playing control. Tinkerbell is pretty slow in that matchup, so I would much rather have the Flynn Riders and the other 2 questers. opponent plays Queen of Hearts, which makes me believe they are playing red-purple. We go ahead and ink a Sudden Chill here and run out one of our Flynn Riders. Our opponent plays out a Minnie Mouse, which is actually a pretty big deal normally because it is evasive, but thankfully we do play Smash, which is a great answer to Minnie Mouse. I choose to ink a Flynn Rider here instead of Benja just in case they play Sorcerer's Spellbook, and then I choose to go ahead and smash the Minnie Mouse. Our opponent can take this trade here if they'd like. I don't mind. I'd rather they discard the card, so I do offer up the trade. And living up to their name, they do play Ursula's Cauldron. They choose to attack into Flynn Rider and give us a card out of their hand. And they bounce back a Queen of Hearts. So we know their hand is Queen of Hearts and another random card, which is pretty good considering that we have 6 cards in our hand. We do go ahead and take advantage of Benja and knock out that Cauldron. And then I choose to ink the Smash here because I would like to play Beast next turn. Our opponent quests and pass the turn back. We go ahead and ink one of these beasts, and we actually end up playing Lucifer here just because they have 3 cards in their hand, and I want to keep attacking their hand so that they cannot ink properly and keep them off of their late game. I honestly undervalued Lucifer when I first saw it preview just because it's a 2/2, but its ability is just so solid, and giving you a body that you can quest with after is really, really good. As you saw there, we did hit a Be Prepared, which is nice, and our opponent has no idea that there's more cats on the way. Our opponent does play Spellbook as I anticipated, and as you'll see, this Spellbook does come quite in handy against me. I choose to clean up the Mim here and play yet another Lucifer, ripping that last card out of their hand. So now Red-Purple is in top deck mode, which as you know, Red-Purple is the top deck master, and I think no game will show that more than this one. Opponent goes ahead and bounces back their Maleficent, getting to draw another card, so great turn for them. Thankfully they don't have enough ink to Spellbook this turn, so I run out the Beast and put on some pressure, questing for 2. If the Mim does attack into Lucifer, I'm okay with that because I can play Tinkerbell next turn and wipe it off the field. Our opponent plays out a Maui and chooses to quest for 1 with the Spellbook. We draw 2 cards off the Beast, which is a beautiful feeling. We decide to attack their hand yet again and rip that last card. I just do not want them to be able to develop their board. Opponent just draws and inks, but unfortunately this Spellbook is ticking away, which is a little unfortunate. We draw 2 more cards here. Unfortunately, neither one of them is Benja. It would be really nice to draw a Benja here. But we do have a Tinkerbell, which we can go ahead and play, which takes Mim off the field. Our opponent does draw an Elsa here, which is a big draw. He sits down our Beast and our Tinkerbell, which gives him a free kill into Beast, which we don't love. I draw a hook here, which I choose to ink, and then I play out another Beast, and then banish the Maui with a Smash, leaving them with just an Elsa and a Spellbook. Our opponent does some cute tricks and goes ahead and quests with Elsa, and then bounces it back to hand with the Mim. But Elsa is not safe in your hand, sir. We hit him with the Hypnotize, and rip the Elsa away, and draw a card here, which is a really, really great turn. We finally get our Benja, so we destroy the Spellbook, and we have the ink to smash this fox. So how do we lose here? So as you can see, we're in an incredibly dominant position, but unfortunately, when you play against Red-Purple, they are the top deck kings.
Long live the king.
Right on time. Be prepared. I draw a Daisy Duck, and he doesn't have the ink to play a dragon, which is great. But unfortunately, he doesn't draw a dragon. He draws Maleficent into another Maleficent. And then chooses to ink the last card since it's going to be discarded anyway. I quest with Daisy, which is nice since Maleficent cannot trade into it evenly. And I play a Benja, which is another 2-quester. So we're still in a really dominant position here. Our opponent trades both Maleficents into our character. We rip their hand again with Hypnotize. Our opponent draws a Lady Tremaine, which we're okay with because we still have Benja in play, and they are on a 2-turn clock. We quest for 2, which puts us at 18, and play Lucifer, which should seal the deal. They have to kill 2 characters in 1 turn, or else I win. But this is red-purple we're talking about, so they drew Elsa. I draw a beast, which is lethal yet again because they could only quest for 5 this turn, and I'm going to get all my characters back. They would have to take care of all 3 of these characters. But in typical red-purple fashion, they drew another Tremaine. So now they completely lock us out of the game. We were so close, we could see the finish line. But red-purple did what red-purple does and locks us out of the game, even though they had no hand. So really unfortunate. As you can see, we had every chance to win that game. It was just an unfortunate set of draws there. I just wanted to show this game because I thought it was a great showcase for not only my deck, but also red-purple, how strong it can really be. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is a list that I'm still actively working on. I actually really like this list. I think it has a lot of potential considering that it does have a game plan against control, and then you can switch that game plan against aggro decks and go more defensive. I definitely don't think this is the final form of this deck, but I would highly recommend giving it a try and making your adjustments. I'd love to hear what you guys think about the deck and if you have any success with it at your locals. Once again, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. If you did, please hit that like and subscribe button. We're on the road to 1,000 subs, guys. We're almost at 700. I'm trying to come up with a really cool giveaway for when we hit 1,000 subs, so hopefully I'll be announcing that soon. Whatever you guys celebrate out there, I hope you enjoy yourselves and you're with your loved ones. And I'll see you guys around on the next video. Peace!